What if I told you there's an AI that can create videos that never end, another that can generate a minute-long video in under 60 seconds, and a whole suite of tools that can do everything from crafting custom music to bringing 3D animations to life? We're exploring the cutting edge of AI creativity today, and you absolutely need to see this. Stick around. All right, let's kick things off with something truly mesmerizing, an AI called Mobius. Picture this. You're chilling, watching a video, and it just keeps going. Not in a boring, repetitive way, but like smoothly. It's a video that loops forever, but you can't even tell where it starts and ends. That's Mobius, and it's seriously mind-blowing. Forget clunky transitions and obvious repeats. This thing is seamless. You basically tell it what you want to see, like a fluffy cat batting at a dangling toy, and Mobius whips up a video that does exactly that, and then loops it perfectly. It's like magic, but it's actually clever AI. The secret is, Mobius is built to make the end of the video blend perfectly into the beginning. You literally can't see the seam. They showed this off with a bunch of examples, and they were all ridiculously smooth. There was this koala, right? Just happily munching away on some leaves. There's a little frame counter in the corner, ticking up to 50, and then blink, it's back at 1. But you don't see the blink. The koala just keeps on chewing like it's got an endless supply of eucalyptus. It's so smooth you'd swear it was just one long, continuous shot. And it's not just for slow-moving stuff. They had a blender making a smoothie. Same deal. The counter hits 50, resets, but the blender keeps whirring, the fruit keeps swirling, and you're just mesmerized. It's the kind of thing you could watch for hours, and technically you could. They even pushed it with trickier stuff. A woman running on a beach? No problem. A dude skiing down a mountain? Smooth as butter. The loop was so perfect, it looked like these people were stuck in an infinite loop of awesome. The really cool part is you can actually change how long each loop is. They showed examples with 50 frames, 100 frames, 150 frames. Basically, you can make it feel faster or slower, depending on what you're going for. And get this, they even did it with fireworks. Fireworks! Those things are chaotic and unpredictable, but Mobius nailed it. The loop was seamless. I honestly couldn't tell when it was restarting. It's seriously impressive. Mobius achieves this feat with the help of a frame count. The video has 50 frames, and when it hits 50, it seamlessly loops back to the start. So, what's the point of all this endless looping? Well, imagine having a super chill background video on your website, or a product demo that just keeps playing without any jarring cuts. Or maybe you're an artist, and you want to create some kind of mesmerizing, always changing installation. Mobius opens up a ton of possibilities. Honestly, it's one of those things you have to see to believe. I've put a link in the description so you can check out all the examples. Seriously, go watch them. Alright, so we just talked about videos that loop forever. Now, let's talk about videos that appear almost instantly. We're diving into the world of magic one for one, and the name pretty much says it all. This AI can generate videos up to a minute long in less than a minute. Yeah, you read that right. We're talking about seriously fast video creation. Think about it. Most video generation, even with some of the cool AI tools out there, still takes a good chunk of time. You type in your prompt, hit enter, and then you wait. Maybe you grab a coffee. Maybe you check your email. Maybe you start wondering if your computer has frozen. But with Magic one for one, that wait is practically gone. And it's not like they're sacrificing quality for speed either. The examples they showed were genuinely impressive. We're talking detailed, consistent videos that actually look good. They had everything from super realistic looking humans, like really realistic, to time-lapse effects that were smooth and captivating. They even showed off different animation styles. There was some anime-style footage, and it was consistent and fluid, not all janky and weird like you sometimes see with AI-generated animation. And then they had some stuff that looked straight out of a Pixar movie, super detailed, great character animation, the whole 9 yards. They even had a cat. And you know how hard it is to get animals right, but this cat moved naturally. They also showed off some wildlife footage, like a raptor, and the details were sharp. It looked like something you'd see on a nature documentary. And then, to really blow our minds, they had this crazy post-apocalyptic cyberpunk scene with tons of people walking around, buildings in the background, all kinds of stuff going on, and it all looked consistent. There weren't any weird warping effects or characters morphing into bizarre shapes. It was seriously impressive. So, how does this thing work so fast? It's all about clever engineering. Magic one for one is actually built on top of another AI video generator called Hunyan, which is free and open source. Think of Hunyan as the engine, and Magic one for one as the turbocharger. The real secret sauce is something called step distillation. Basically, it's a way for the AI to generate videos using way fewer steps than normal. Most AI video generators have to go through a whole bunch of calculations and iterations to create a video. Step distillation is like finding a shortcut. It lets the AI get to the same result, but much, much faster. It's a two-part process, actually. First, the AI creates a still image from your text prompt. So, if you type in a robot dancing in a disco, it'll first create a picture of that, then it uses that image as the starting point for the video. This is way faster because generating a single image is much quicker than generating a whole video from scratch. And once it has that starting image, it's easier for the AI to figure out how to animate it. But that's not all. They also use a couple of other fancy techniques with names that sound like they came straight out of a sci-fi movie. There's adversarial step distillation, which basically speeds up the whole process even more. And then there's parameter spacification, which is a mouthful, but it basically means they've found a way to make the AI use less memory and computing power. All of this combined, the step distillation, the adversarial stuff, the parameter spacification, it all adds up to ridiculously fast video generation. We're talking about the difference between waiting several minutes or even longer for a video and getting it in seconds. It's a game changer, especially if you've ever messed around with AI image or video generation before. You know how frustrating it can be to wait around for your results, especially if you're trying out different prompts and tweaking things. With Magic 1-for-1, that frustration is pretty much gone. In past, we have already discussed AI video generation, but this feels different. And the best part? They've already released the code. It's all open source, so if you're technically inclined, you can actually download it and try it out yourself. I've put a link in the description so you can check it out. This is one of those tools that really makes you feel like we're living in the future. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about visuals, but what about audio? Enter InspireMusic, a completely free and open source AI music generator from the folks at Alibaba. This isn't just some simple melody maker. This thing can create entire songs. And the cool part is you can control it with either text prompts or even by feeding it an existing audio clip. Imagine this. You're working on a project and you need some background music. You could spend hours searching through royalty-free music libraries, trying to find something that sort of fits. Or you could just fire up InspireMusic and tell it exactly what you want. You can specify the genre, everything from mellow instrumental pieces to R&B, jazz, or even headbanging rock. You can also tell it what part of the song you want it to generate, the intro, a verse, the chorus, or even the outro. And then you just type in a description of the vibe you're going for. They had some really cool examples. There was this smooth jazz piece, perfect for a fancy restaurant or a relaxing spa. The prompt was something like soothing and sensual instrumental jazz with a touch of bossa nova, and it nailed it. It sounded exactly like something you'd hear in a high-end lounge. Then they cranked it up with a metal intro. The prompt talked about a blend of symphonic metal with a primal rhythmic backdrop, and the result was, well, pretty epic. It had that powerful, driving sound you'd expect from a metal track. They even had an electronic outro with a progressive house vibe. And then, things got really interesting. They had a new age music example, and the prompt literally said it was designed to balance chakras and enhance happiness. I'm not sure about the chakra balancing, but it did sound incredibly relaxing, perfect for yoga or meditation. And for all you gamers out there, they had some game music that sounded like it came straight out of a Japanese arcade. It was energetic and dynamic, with that classic video game soundtrack feel. Now, here's where things get even cooler. You don't have to use text prompts. You can actually upload a short audio clip, and InspireMusic will continue the song from there. It's like having an AI collaborator that can jam with you. They demonstrated this with a couple of examples. They'd play a short snippet of music, and then InspireMusic would take over, seamlessly extending the song while keeping the same style and instruments. It was seriously impressive. It's not just copying the original, It's actually understanding the music and creating something new that fits perfectly. There are actually a few different models you can use within InspireMusic. Some are better for certain genres or styles, and there's one called the long model that can generate music for over 5 minutes. That's more than enough to create a full-length song or a long piece of background music for a video or a game. And, like many of the coolest AI tools we talk about, this one is completely free and open source. They've released the code, so anyone can download it and run it on their own computer. The installation instructions and all the different models are available online, and I've of course put a link in the description. Right now, all the examples they've shown are instrumental, so no vocals. But they're planning to add text-to-song capabilities in the future, which means you'll be able to give it lyrics, and it'll actually generate a voice singing them. That's going to be wild. There is also an InspireSong model, which is still under development, and that one will support stereo sound. Okay, time to get back to the visual world, and this time, we're talking about a tool that can literally change the light. Light a video. Think about that for a second. You've got your footage, but the lighting isn't quite right. Maybe it's too harsh, too dull, or just doesn't fit the mood you're going for. With Light a Video, you can just type in a prompt, like golden hour or overcast, and the AI will transform the video accordingly. They showed some incredible examples. There were videos that were originally shot in daylight, and they were magically transformed to look like they were filmed at sunset. The colors changed, the shadows shifted, and the whole vibe of the scene was completely different. And it wasn't just a simple filter. The AI actually understood the lighting and how it would affect the different elements in the scene, and it gets even wilder. You can actually separate the foreground of your video, like a person or an object, and then put it in a completely different background. So you could film someone talking in their living room, and then, with a few clicks, have them standing on a tropical beach, or in a futuristic cityscape, or, on the moon. The possibilities are endless. This could be a game changer for product commercials, for example. Imagine filming a product in a simple studio setting, and then being able to instantly place it in a variety of different environments to see how it looks. It's like having a virtual film set at your fingertips. So, how does this sorcery work? It's a pretty complex process, but here's the gist. First, the AI breaks your video down into individual frames, like flipping through a really fast flipbook. Then, it adds a bit of noise to each frame. Think of it like adding a little bit of static. This noise is important because it gives the AI some room to work its magic. Then, the video frames go through something called a video diffusion model. This is where the real heavy lifting happens. The AI takes your text prompt, let's say, a car driving down a neon-lit street, and uses a couple of open-source models called Realistic Vision 5.1 for generating realistic images, and IC Light for handling the lighting to basically relight each frame, one by one. And to make sure everything stays consistent and doesn't look like a jumbled mess, there's a component called Progressive Light Fusion. This part compares the original video frames with the newly generated relit frames and blends them together. It's like a super smart digital artist, making sure the car still looks like the same car, but now it's bathed in the glow of neon lights. The result is a video that looks like it was filmed in a completely different environment, but still retains the original content and movement. It's pretty mind-blowing when you see it in action. And you guessed it, the code is already out there. It's open source, so anyone can download it and try it out. They also have a GitHub repo, and I've put a link in the description so you can check it out. They're even planning to release a Gradio demo, which is basically a user-friendly interface, so you don't have to be a coding wizard to use it. So, we've seen some amazing tools that can create videos from scratch, but let's be honest, sometimes the results can be a little off. Maybe there's some weird warping, some flickering, or just a general lack of detail. That's where Enhance a Video comes in. This is a free and open source tool designed specifically to improve the quality of AI-generated videos. Think of it as a post-production powerhouse, taking those rough around the edges videos and polishing them up to a shine. It's not a standalone video generator. It's something you add on top of an existing one. In the examples, they showed it working with Hunyen, which we talked about earlier, but it can be used with other video generators as well. They showed some pretty dramatic before and after comparisons. There was one video generated by Hunyen, and it was a little rough. The background was blurry, the character's face wasn't very clear, and this is the best part. She had 6 toes. Yeah, 6. Clearly, the AI had a little trouble with anatomy. But then, they plugged that same video into Enhance a Video, and the difference was night and day. The background became sharper, the face was more detailed, and, most importantly, the toe situation was corrected. 5 toes, as it should be. They even had an example where the original video was just a mess. A guy whose head seemed to be completely detached and sliding down. Enhance a Video managed to, at the very least, make everything look more connected and, less terrifying. And it's not just for fixing weird glitches, it can also add detail and improve the overall clarity of the video. They showed an example using another video generator called Cog Video X. The prompt was, a balloon full of water exploding in extreme slow motion. The original video from Cog Video 10 didn't even have a balloon, but the enhanced version, it had a balloon, it was full of water, and it exploded in glorious slow motion. So, how does this magic happen? It all comes down to a special component called the enhanced block. This block basically analyzes how the different frames in the video interact with each other, something called cross-frame intensity. It's like looking at how the frames relate to each other in terms of brightness, color, and movement. Then, it uses a special temperature setting to boost that interaction. It's a bit like turning up the dial on the connections between the frames, making everything smoother and more cohesive. The result is a video that looks less like a jumbled collection of images and more like a continuous flowing sequence. And as with many of our favorite AI tools, this one is free and open source. The code is available on GitHub, and I've put a link in the description so you can check it out. It's another example of how the AI community is working together to improve these tools and make them accessible to everyone. Alright, so we've seen AI video generators that take text prompts, and we've seen some that can enhance existing videos. But Cinemaster takes things to a whole new dimension. Literally. This isn't just about typing in what you want to see, it's about controlling how things move within the video, in 3D space. Imagine you're a director, but instead of working with actors and cameras, you're working with digital puppets and virtual environments. That's the basic idea behind Cinemaster. It lets you manipulate objects in a 3D space, and then apply those movements to a generated video. They showed some mind-blowing examples. There was this 3D model of an object, and they dragged it outward in the 3D space. Then, they gave the video generator some prompts, and boom! The video showed that object flying outward exactly as they had manipulated it. It's like the AI is reading your mind, or at least your 3D manipulations. And it's not just limited to one object. You can have multiple objects all moving independently in 3D space, and Cinemaster will translate those movements into the video. They had examples with a man in a car, a man in a boat, even a man looking at the moon. And in each case, the movements of the 3D objects were perfectly mapped onto the final video. It's like having a virtual puppet show that the AI turns into a movie. They even showed a car passing another car from behind. They set it up in the 3D space, gave it the right prompts, and the generated video showed exactly that. Or how about a panda driving a motorcycle in the city? They stacked two 3D models, a panda and a motorcycle, and the AI created a video that was surprisingly believable. And for a touch of feline agility, they showed a cat jumping down from a table. Again, they controlled the movement in 3D, and the AI translated it into a smooth, realistic animation. But it's not just about object movement. Because you're controlling a 3D space, you can also control the camera. This opens up a whole new world of possibilities. You can have the camera move up, zoom in, pan around, pretty much anything you can imagine. They showed examples of complex camera movements, not just simple pans and zooms. It's like having a virtual camera crew that follows your every command. This level of control is something we haven't really seen before in AI video generation. So, how does this magic work? It's a bit complicated, but here's the basic rundown. First, your text prompt is broken down into individual objects. So if you type a woman riding a red bicycle through a lush green field, the AI will identify that there's a woman and a bicycle. Then, you input your 3D model animations, basically how you want those objects to move. And here's where the core component comes in, something called Semantic Layout Control Net. Yeah, it's a mouthful. This control net has two main parts. The first part is the semantic injector. This basically combines the positions of your 3D objects with their labels. So, it knows that one object is the woman and the other is the bicycle. Then, it runs this information through a diffusion transformer control net. This is where the AI processes everything and integrates it with the main video generation model. And to handle the camera movements, there's a component called the camera adapter. This works together with the control net to ensure that both the object movements and the camera movements are accurate and smooth. It's a complex system, but the results are undeniably impressive. Cinemaster is giving us a level of control over AI-generated videos that was previously unimaginable. And, as always, I'll put a link in the description so you can check out more demos and see this 3D motion control in action. Alright, time for our final act, and it's a doozy. Get ready to hear about On-Device Sora, a project that's bringing AI video generation to the palm of your hand. Okay, the name might be a little bit misleading, so let's clear that up right away. This isn't actually OpenAI's Sora. It's a free and open source alternative called Open Sora. And while Open Sora isn't quite as mind-blowingly amazing as Sora, The concept behind on-device Sora is incredibly important. What this project is all about is generating videos locally on your phone. Yes, you heard that right. No more relying on powerful cloud servers or expensive computers. This is about bringing AI video generation to the device you probably have in your pocket right now. Now, before you get too excited, the current capabilities are pretty limited. The maximum resolution is 256 times 256, which, let's be honest, is pretty tiny. And the videos themselves, well, they're not exactly ready for prime time. They showed some examples, and there was a lot of warping, inconsistencies, and just general weirdness. So why am I even talking about this if the videos aren't great? Because it's a huge step in the right direction. It's a proof of concept that shows we're getting closer to a future where anyone can create decent quality videos directly on their phone. Think about the implications of that. No more needing a super-powered computer to mess around with AI video generation. You could create videos on the go, share them instantly, and experiment with different ideas without any expensive hardware. So why hasn't this been possible before? Why can't we just run something like Hunyan on our phones? Well, it all comes down to power and memory. AI video generation is incredibly resource intensive. These models require a ton of processing power, specifically from a GPU, and they need a lot of VRAM. The problem is most phones, even high-end ones like the iPhone 15 Pro, just don't have that much VRAM. The iPhone 15 Pro has about 3.3 gigabytes of memory. To run even something like Open Sora, you need way more than that. So how did they overcome this seemingly insurmountable obstacle? They basically took the AI model and chopped it up into smaller pieces. Instead of trying to load the entire massive model at once, they load it block by block. It's like taking a giant jigsaw puzzle and solving it one section at a time instead of trying to put all the pieces together at once. And they didn't stop there. They also used some clever tricks to make the generation process faster and more efficient. There's something called linear proportional leap, which basically lets the AI skip some intermediate steps, making the generation quicker. They also have concurrent inference and dynamic loading, which is a fancy way of saying they're using multiple processing units at the same time and loading things in a smart way. And then there's temporal dimension token merging, which helps make the videos more coherent and smooth, even with the limited resources. Of course, all of these optimizations come with a trade-off. You're going to lose some quality when you're cramming a massive AI model into a tiny phone. But the surprising thing is, the quality loss isn't as bad as you might expect. They showed some comparisons between videos generated using the full version of Open Sora on a computer and videos generated using on-device Sora on an iPhone. And yeah, there were differences. The fire example in particular looked considerably worse on the phone. But overall, it was surprisingly decent, considering the limitations. On-device Sora is a sign of things. A proof of concept that paves the way for a more accessible and democratic future of AI video generation. It might not be perfect yet, but it's a giant leap in the right direction. I've put a link in the description so you can read more about it and see the examples for yourself. It's a reminder that the future of AI is constantly evolving, and it's getting closer to our everyday lives than we might think. So there you have it, the future of video and audio, powered by AI. Links are in the description. Like, subscribe, and get ready for more AI adventures.